Well, hello, Old Testament Bible class. This is your teacher, Mr. Sly, getting us started on this wild and crazy online school edition of Bible class. I'm coming to you from my classroom today. It's quiet. It is Tuesday afternoon. All of the chairs are neatly stacked on the desks. There are no people wrestling on my couch. Koosh ball is not whizzing through the air. But alas, it's a bit lonely. I miss you guys. Wondering what you're up to. Curious if this is just like an extended series of hurricane days for you, or if you're itching to do something rather than twiddle your thumbs. But at any rate, welcome to Bible class online. Trying to build that plane as we fly it, so I'm going to do my best to give you something worth doing. If you are watching this, that means you found my YouTube channel and video. I have never had a YouTube channel, but today is the day. Typically, you're going to be watching a couple of these a week, but for now, I just want, in the next 10 minutes or so, to give you a basic summary of what Bible class will look like over the next many weeks, however many that is. So typically at the beginning of every week, in the first video of the week, I'm going to give you some basic weekly announcements so that you're able to stay on top of what is expected of you, because Old Testament and indeed every other class online, I suspect for you, is going to become quite confusing, and it may become difficult to manage all of the different expectations from different teachers and digital platforms, and when things are due and what kind of new assignments there might be. So my desire is that both in a Monday morning email and in this video, you will see some basic and clear expectations for what you are to do in any given week. So look for that Monday morning email each week. This class is going to be trimmed a bit from usual. Obviously, we're cutting out classroom discussion and a little bit of chaos. We're essentially going to say goodbye for the time being to Difficult Question Friday. And so my goal is to give you three different elements of Bible class for the last quarter. Something to read, something to write, and something to watch. And hopefully it will look somewhat similar to what life in Bible class is ordinarily like. Although, as you can see, I'm going to be using PowerPoint much more heavily, and so your note-taking may actually be aided by that. I suspect I will become a better teacher by having had to kind of think through what it looks like to do online school. So for the reading portion of your work in Bible class, you are, as usual, going to read a portion of an Old Testament book, that should say book, each week. We generally don't think of the Old Testament books as letters per se. A portion of an Old Testament book each week. For now, we're going to continue to be in the books of 1st and 2nd Kings. So in much the same way that we sometimes will read a chapter or two and do some sort of exercise with it, you will have to read first a portion of a book, and then secondly, the writing portion will be answering some kind of reflection question for each reading. Might be making a list, it might be simply reflecting on a question or a character. These will come up as we get to them. But you will answer that question usually in a paragraph or two or some other kind of answer, and you will email that to me by the due date that is given. That email will help me to understand that you're actually paying attention and participating throughout the week. So you'll have something to read, something to write, and finally, you will have something to watch. Typically, you will be watching a YouTube video kind of like this once or twice a week, typically twice a week. And my desire is that you would watch one on Monday or Tuesday and the second one on Wednesday or Thursday. I expect them or hope that they will be roughly 30 minutes each. One for the first part of the week, one for the second part of the week. You can use Friday to catch up, take it off. You can have Difficult Question Friday with yourself, whatever the case. Giving you a video for Monday, Tuesday, and a video for Wednesday, Thursday. So to recap, something to read, a part of the Old Testament, something to write, a reflection on that reading, and something to watch, a couple of instruction videos twice a week. The way that you will affirm that you have done that video is, that you've watched that video, that is to make a 2 to 3 sentence comment affirming that you watched the video and offering in that comment some word about how it interacted or interacts with your life in some way. Typically what I'm going to do is give you a specific direction for how and what to comment at the end of each video. But if I do not, you make a general comment about how that day's teaching or lesson interacts with your life in some way of application. And when you comment, be sure to leave your name, just in case your YouTube account doesn't indicate what your name is very clearly, or if you don't have a YouTube account, I need to know what your name is. So you make a comment down in the bottom below the video in the comment section. That comment will act as a way to take attendance for your weekly engagement. So if you do not do it, you will fail that part of the grade, and you will get an absence for that day as well. Finally, more broadly, we will take a test in roughly 2 to 3 weeks. More info to follow on that. We will take up a little bit of the material that we've already started in 1 Kings and pick up some new material over the next couple of weeks, and I will get a study guide to you, and as promised, a part of your grade will be some version of your notes given to me either via a picture or a Word document. You should send either one of those to me. You're welcome to type your notes up, or you can take a picture of handwritten notes and send it to me prior to the test so that I can know that you were following along. So you ought to take notes, not this on this video, but in general, after this you ought to take notes on the week's videos, treating them like an ordinary class. Finally, we want to stay in communication, as you probably ought to with all of your teachers. Email me whenever you have questions. I will stay close to my email Monday to Friday, 8 to 3 generally, and we'll try to email you back fairly promptly. My email is kyle.sly@redeemerlions.com. Something to read, something to write, something to watch, a test eventually, and remember, you affirm your participation in the YouTube video by making a comment. Now, before I turn you loose this week, first of all, let me mention that this week you do not have anything to read or anything to write, although I am going to ask you to make a comment on this YouTube video. So because we're just getting started, and because it's kind of a short week with just Thursday and Friday, you don't have anything to read, and you don't have anything to write. That being said, I wanted to leave you with a little word to take you into the coming strange weeks. This word is from a guy named Derek Kidner. If you were paying attention well in chapel a few weeks ago, you saw this on the screen, but I wanted to draw our attention back to it. Kidner is offering this in his commentary on Psalm 107, and it has been for me a good description of where we're at these days, trying to self-quarantine and engage in social distancing, and school and work and family have been upended in some serious ways. He says, the hurricane, and you can insert virus there if you'd like, the hurricane/virus shakes us into seeing that in a world of gigantic forces we live by permission, not by good management. In other words, when something massive like a hurricane or a virus, or perhaps something like God at the Tower of Babel, just upends the normal rhythms and routines of our lives, and life drastically changes in profound ways, what we discover is that though we may have thought we were controlling our lives all along, in fact, we only ever had been living by God's permission. So I leave you with a little bit of a word of theological perspective, that as perhaps your life has already changed significantly just by the fact that you are sitting at home on a weekday, morning or afternoon, and it may change more. I give to you the great and magnificent sovereignty of God that is operative both in the good and the bad, in the happy and the sad. Did not mean to rhyme that. In the joy and the sorrow, in the difficulty and the delight, God's sovereignty is guiding this world and our lives along. So I commend to you God's great sovereignty as you close the week, entering into a new phase of your school life. So when this video finishes, I would like for you in that regard to leave a comment below. And your comment should be something about something you've learned about yourself in the last week or two, especially given that I suspect your life either has or will change a bit, a lot more time at home by yourself, something like that. Tell us in the comment section something that you have learned about yourself. Could be serious, could be silly. Could be something serious like I've learned that I'm not in control of my life anymore, or I've learned that my snacking habits are terrible when I'm sitting at home all day. Something about yourself that you have discovered in the last week or two. Thanks for listening, Old Testament. Look for an email from me on Monday morning. This is the end of Old Testament video for March 26th and 27th.